May 28th, Cape Canaveral, Florida. A rocket the size of a 20-story building simply ceases to exist. The fireball lights up the Atlantic coast sky orange. Windows shake in Cocoa Beach. Residents reach for their phones, wondering if it was an earthquake. It wasn't. Jeff Bezos' New Glenn rocket just exploded on its own launch pad during a routine engine test. And before the smoke cleared over Cape Canaveral, something else was already burning. Your investment portfolio. Bezos' broader business empire. America's plan to return to the moon. This was not just a rocket explosion. This was a financial detonation. Years in the making. And almost nobody saw the real damage coming. Here is what the headlines missed. Yes, a rocket was destroyed. Yes, it was dramatic. Yes, Jeff Bezos called it a very rough day. But the rocket itself is almost the least important thing here. Because behind this fireball lies a collision of competing billion-dollar timelines, government contracts on the line, a satellite internet race with no margin for error, and a window of commercial dominance that may now belong permanently to one man. His name is Elon Musk. To understand why this single explosion matters to you, to your investments, your tech subscriptions, even your future internet bill, you need to understand what Blue Origin was actually trying to build. Not just a rocket, a second power center in commercial space, a check on SpaceX's Monopoly, a competitor that could keep launch prices low, keep NASA's options open, and give Amazon the infrastructure to challenge Starlink for your broadband dollars. All of that was on that launch pad Thursday night. Let's follow the money. Blue Origin is a private company. It does not trade on the stock market. Bezos funds it personally. By some estimates, over $10 billion of his own capital over 2 decades. So you might think, this is a billionaire's problem, not yours. Blue Origin holds a $3.4 billion NASA contract to build the Blue Moon crewed lunar lander as part of the Artemis program. Just 2 days before the explosion, NASA awarded Blue Origin an additional $188 million contract to deliver 2 lunar terrain vehicles to the moon's south pole, with an option period worth another $280 million. Total NASA exposure, approaching $4 billion. All of it dependent on the New Glenn rocket. Amazon, a company you almost certainly own through your retirement account, had contracted Blue Origin for 24 rocket launches to deploy its Project Kuiper satellite internet constellation. Amazon paid $2.7 billion for those launches. The first of them was scheduled for June 4th. That launch is now gone. The entire 2-4 launch manifest suspended. No resumption date. And this is where it starts touching your life in ways you might not expect. You have probably heard of Starlink, SpaceX's satellite internet service. Nearly 8,000 satellites in orbit. Amazon's Project Kuiper was built to compete. A rival constellation of over 3,200 satellites, designed to bring affordable broadband to underserved regions across America and the world. Bank of America estimated Kuiper could generate $7 billion in annual revenue by 2032, assuming Amazon captures just 30% of the consumer market. That revenue flows directly into Amazon's stock price. Here's the problem. Amazon currently has only about 302 satellites in orbit. The FCC originally required over 1,600 deployed by late July 2026. Amazon already filed for a 2-year extension because they were already falling behind. Thursday's explosion makes that math significantly worse. The only operational launch pad destroyed. The investigation and reconstruction could take months. Amazon cannot wait years, which means they will need to redirect those launches to a competitor. SpaceX, the same company Amazon was paying Kuiper to defeat. This is the hidden mechanism most people are not discussing. The commercial launch market is already dangerously concentrated. SpaceX's Falcon 9 dominates. Its reliability record is extraordinary. Its launch cadence is unmatched. Blue Origin was supposed to be the pressure valve, the alternative, the competitive force that kept SpaceX from setting its own terms. 3 flights, 2 significant failures, now a launch pad explosion. Meanwhile, SpaceX is preparing for a potential public offering. Reports emerging in May 2026 suggest that IPO could be coming soon. Investor interest has already been driving space sector stocks higher. The irony is almost architectural. The moment Blue Origin most needed to prove its credibility, it handed SpaceX its strongest commercial argument in years. There is one more layer to this story that extends beyond markets entirely. America is currently racing China to the moon. NASA's Artemis program, the most ambitious human spaceflight initiative since Apollo, is built around two providers: SpaceX's Starship and Blue Origin's New Glenn and Blue Moon lander. The redundancy was intentional. Two providers, two competing approaches, cost pressure on both. Thursday's explosion removed half of that equation. Blue Origin was expected to participate in Artemis 3, an Earth orbit demonstration targeted for mid-2027. It was planning a moon-based cargo landing in late 2026. It was positioned for Artemis 4's crewed landing in 2028. All of those timelines are now in question. One expert put it plainly: NASA's moon-based plans are basically an aspiration rather than being realistically achievable in the next few years. That matters because America's strategic position in space, its ability to establish a permanent lunar presence before China does, is partly a financial competition. When a key player in that race loses its only rocket, the national economic footprint of that loss extends far beyond one launch pad. So where does this leave you? Not in panic, not in doom, in clarity. A single explosion on a Florida launch pad connected three major financial threads simultaneously. A $4 billion NASA dependency, and now uncertain. A $7 billion Amazon revenue projection, now delayed. A commercial launch market, now even more concentrated in a single provider. The companies that compete for your broadband dollar, your retirement portfolio's largest holdings, and America's strategic position in space all passed through one rocket on Thursday night. The institutions most exposed will not broadcast their vulnerability. They will manage expectations quietly. They will issue carefully worded statements. But the financial architecture shifted, the strategic leverage shifted, and the timeline shifted. Most people will watch the fireball clips online and move on by Monday. The people who understand what was actually destroyed will be watching very different things. Your money is connected to systems you cannot always see. Economic turning points rarely announce themselves loudly. Sometimes, they just light up the sky orange.